Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Chakra Way Meditation Podcast. And you know that usually with these conversations, I call them chakra chats. And I talk to lots of people who are energy healers and so on, and all sorts of modalities. But today I feel is going to be really very chakra-esque because I'm talking to Cheryl Stelte, who is herself a chakra expert. She is a spiritual coach, a healer, a three-time author, and we have a lot of alignment in the work that we do. And so we're going to discover what that looks like and get some insights from Cheryl. So welcome, Cheryl. Thank you very much for joining me today.
Oh, thank you so much, Roseanne. It really is truly an honor to be here with you.
Thank you. Yeah, I love talking to other people who are passionate about the work of the chakras, about teaching, sharing, gleaning as much knowledge and wisdom from the chakras as we can. And so I want to ask, what brought you towards understanding and learning and teaching and using the chakras as your modality? When did you discover them?
That was over 30 years ago
Oh,
when
wow.
I first started on my spiritual journey. And what led me to that, uh, I was raised Roman Catholic, and
Mm,
meditation was not a word in my world at all. Nothing like it. Spirituality was not a word that
mm,
existed in anyone I crossed paths with. And my younger brother had taken his life, and a year and a half later, his spirit came and was there. I had such a profound spiritual experience that transformed the rest of my life with a friend of mine on the
mm,
beach. And it's interesting, I just spoke on a podcast with a fellow who also lost his younger brother. And we both had the same experience of a large ball of
really
white light that was radiating the most love we have ever felt. We both experienced it the same
um,
way. And his
extraordinary.
message to me was to start meditating. And I was like, wow. So the long and the short of it was I found a meditation group, but it was just in a matter of months after that that I discovered the chakras and started working with them and becoming my own energy healer.
Mm. That's the wonderful thing is when you understand what the chakras hold, when you understand this system, this map, I always call it like a map of your body, of your subtle body, your energetic body. Once you understand, once someone's given you that map, the world is your oyster. Like off you go. Adventuring into the spiritual world is it's just like the most beautiful gateway into whatever modality of healing or spirituality you want to explore. The chakras will give you so much knowledge, so much, just signposts all over the place as soon as you know about the chakra system. So, how do you now use it? Because one of the things, and I'm just going to get straight into here because this is the thing that I'm so interested in. I don't know if you know that I do chakra readings, and they are quite a big part of my offering, and I absolutely love doing them, and they offer so much wisdom. You do chakra readings too. And how did you come to, well, first of all, let's dissect the differences between the way we read chakras because it's a very intuitive thing to do to read somebody's chakra. And I've talked to people who can just like see it in their auras and other people like myself who use a pendulum and so on. So, what's your modality and how did you come to realize that this is something that you could do?
Uh, how do you know it was never a gift? Some people can see the aura and they can see all sorts of energy and that sort of thing. That was never a gift for me, but I have spent thousands upon thousands of dollars on different spiritual trainings. And
Mm,
so it was a gradual thing. that I started to be able to see the chakras, the first thing was, like most of us, I was imagining the chakras inside my body.
Mhm.
And eventually, over time, I started to be able to see the energy, but I don't see the energy the same as everybody else. I do not see and never have seen the mandalas with all the lotus petals and
Mm.
the colors as we know them. If you look online or look at
Yeah,
books, we see it. And I believe that that was one person's interpretation,
yeah,
and it caught everybody.
yeah. I
Everybody,
think I've heard people say that in the 70s, when this kind of, New Age spirituality was coming over and everything was rainbows, they were just like, let's make it nice and simple and just assign the colors to the chakras. I mean, I think they can be really, really useful. And I think they really help people to visualize them. And
yes,
yeah, but they're I don't think that the yogis of like 2000 years ago were going, "Well, that one's red and that one's orange." Like, I don't think that was the case. It was just an understanding, a depth of kind of knowing. So sorry, yeah, go on. So you don't see the
right.
colors.
And so the way I see chakras is as light. As you know,
Yeah.
we are energetic beings,
Hmm.
and Kirlian photography has proven that we are made of light.
Hmm.
And so I see the chakras as light and dark. And the dark is usually black, and that's where the energy is not flowing. Where I see the light, that's where the energy is flowing well. And so that, leads me to believe in the work that I do, it's not so much about balancing the chakras. It's sort of like if you or opening the chakras and closing. Yes, we can activate them.
Yeah.
There's energy flowing. It's kind of like an aluminum wire, electrical wire. If there's a break in that wire, if there's something preventing that energy from flowing through it, it's not going to work very well. And that's a very simple sort of analogy where the chakras are very complex. So when I see them energetically, I see the front, the back, the middle, the top, the bottom, the sides, and they all have different meanings. And there's energetic flow. And so I believe, based on all the chakra readings that I've done, is that we are meant to move into the love and light of who we are. We are all made of source, the
Mm.
creator. And that's
Yeah.
what the chakras will reflect back to us. And our learning is what our souls have signed up for. And those are the blocks that I see. So if we treat it as such, every
Mm.
life situation is an opportunity to evolve more fully into who we all truly are.
I love that. That's so it's almost like you kind of see them like a black and white thermal imaging kind of um, thing. You sort of you see the light and the dark. You see the blockage and the where the flow is happening and where there is no energy moving. And
That's
so
right.
when you do a chakra reading, do you have to do it in person or do you do it online? What's
I do pretty much everything online.
Yeah, yeah, me
We
too.
really are all one. There's no
Yeah,
separation. So we don't
yeah.
have to be there in the physical to be able to do.
No, no, I almost bizarrely almost prefer doing it online to being in the presence of somebody because they kind of expect, I don't know, I think they expect you to sort of be more hands-on, and I'm just like, no, I just need to focus on watching what I'm doing and just taking in the information that's coming to me. So you started being able to see this, and this was just a gradual kind of realization. The more that you got to know the chakras, the more you understood, and the more and so can you see your own chakras? Can you see your own?
Yes, I can. And like most people, it's a little more difficult.
Yeah.
So when I read the chakras in another, I become that person. I actually merge with them. I practiced
Mm.
shamanism for a very, very long time. And that was a skill that I learned, is to become anything. You know, it's
Oh,
it's you think of
yeah.
unity consciousness And so it is that way. Seeing my own, we all have blind spots. So yes,
Yeah.
that's how I started to be able to see them, was seeing my own, and I can see my own. But it's not as easy. It's just
Mm.
like I think we can all see where someone may have, some learning to do, or we get clarity on someone else. It's always easier to give
Yeah.
it
Oh,
than to
totally. Absolutely. Oh, for me, when I'm reading somebody and they show up, and I don't really chat before. We just go, right, this is what was going to happen, and we get into it and we do the reading. And just what comes out, comes out. And I have no prejudgment and no idea what I'm going to find. But with myself, if I try and do it to myself, the internal dialogue goes crazy. You have that whole ego going, well, I'd expect this to be open. I expect that to be closed. I expect this, that, and the other. There's the whole sort of prejudgment thing that you have when you do it. Well, that I have when I do it to myself, as it were. So that's why I'm really interested it's such a completely different way of reading. And so when you've done a reading with somebody, and say, for example, you found that because for me, when I do a reading, I read the kind of the various aspects that live within the chakras. So, for example, in the heart chakra, I would read their ability to be self-accepting and self-love, their ability to forgive, and their ability to surrender, and like a dozen or so other things. Can you tell if you look at somebody's chakra and you can see, yeah, there's not energy flowing there particularly well. Can you tell which aspect of the chakra that is not working or not open enough?
Yes, yes, I
Mm,
absolutely can. And so I see the chakras like an energy center, sort of like the sun. So it's there are these balls, these of
mm,
radiant light. And when chakras are shining brightly and are really expansive, then somebody is experiencing their superpowers. And we
yeah.
all have superpowers. It's that
Oh, yeah.
amazing flow. And
Yeah.
when I see in certain chakras, for example, I will see forward energy. And I see that primarily in the root chakra and the heart chakra. And so, how is that person moving forward as a soul? And then when
Mm,
I see, that's just an example.
yeah.
When I see dark spots, so I'll often see black or gray, there isn't energy flowing, and I'm able to tune into emotions that are stuck, are repressed, are held in the subconscious, and also subconscious beliefs. Sometimes a subconscious belief will just come right through. And even I'll see energy at times, especially when there's been sexual abuse and someone
Mm,
maybe dealt with it to a certain extent or not very much at all. And people can push energy outside of the chakra.
mm,
Uh, and that and so that'll be a telltale sign that they haven't been ready to face something. And when I'm seeing it, it usually means that, well, now is the time, and they're ready to
yeah.
face whatever it is that they're here to learn and grow through. So I see so many combinations of energy. And I also see, I'm going to use the solar plexus for example. To me, solar plexus is very much our truth and power center. I think of it as the depth of the heart chakra. It's where we
Mhm,
feel our deepest emotions, and it's
mhm.
where we are in alignment with the truth of our being. And truth is power, and it really is divine truth and power flowing through us. And
Mhm.
what I see in most women by far, I would say
Mm.
95%, we still all have some of this cultural conditioning that it's okay for men to be more powerful than women, that it's not okay for us to be as powerful or even more powerful than men in certain
Mm.
situations. And so I'll see how much that has taken hold in their family growing up, how they've moved beyond it. And so I have seen, a very few extremely radiant solar plexus chakras in women who are just making such a difference in the world and are
Mm,
just so confident and have truly, genuinely moved beyond that conditioning that we all have. And it's fascinating to see that. And
mm,
the dark spot is always in the same place. It's way down low near the back of the chakra. And it's often just kind of stuck in there, and I'm telling you,
mm.
I'm just on cloud nine when I see light there. And it's so
Yeah.
inspiring to me.
Mm. Yeah, no, gosh, what an absolute joy to be able to actually recognize that and see, because even more like every day that passes, I am more and more sure, more and more convinced of the importance of women, female, the feminine, divine power in this world, in the world as it is at the moment, which is kind of crazy. I feel like the only thing that we can do is to rise up and birth a new kind of energy. And that female power has been suppressed for so long, which is why we're in such a mess right now. And so the more women step into that power, that divine feminine strength, that is more powerful than the most powerful man on the world. And I don't mean this to sound sexist, and it will come out slightly that way, and I apologize for that. But I feel like females have been suppressed for so long that this incredible power, this shaman, Mother Earth connection power, is absolutely vital. You know, when you said that, I'm just like, oh, we need more people like that. And it's such a shame because, like you know, I see a lot of either people who have worked themselves so hard that their solar plexus is overactive, excessive. They've they've tried to work the world like a man or in that kind of very masculine way, and they've pushed themselves too far, or they're suppressing their true power and not able to kind of step into their truth. And it's interesting because normally I would associate the solar plexus chakra with the third eye, you know, that instinct, that gut instinct thing. But there's also, you bring into this the kind of authenticity and truth, which is very much for me a throat chakra thing. And funnily enough, when I'm doing readings, one of the things that I find is quite a frequent imbalance, if you like, or a lack of light in your terms, um, is within the throat chakra. And again, that for me is an ancestral thing. That's a programming. That's you know, a thing that society has taught us to be good girls and be quiet and, you know, all of that kind of stuff. And I noticed that one of your books, Cheryl's got 3 beautiful books behind her, and I can see they look amazing. But one of them is called Heal Your Neck Issues and Let Your Throat Chakra Shine. So what inspired you to focus just on that chakra and write a book all about it, which very
Well, I
necessary.
first want to completely agree with you that yes, the solar plexus is very much directly connected with the third eye,
Mm,
and it's our inner knowing, our truth, and then the throat chakra is so much about expressing our truth, and
mm, that's
the
how we fall
glitches,
down.
that's where the glitches. No, we are so conditioned and not even totally conscious of not expressing our truth, of not
Mm,
expressing, of all of us, not expressing who we truly are. And so
yes.
the throat chakra book was my first book. And I was going to write a completely different book. I knew I was guided to write a book. I'd wanted to write a book for a number of years. And it just the subject matter, I did a deep exploration, and what I realized, I didn't want to write a book on the throat chakra because I thought I have more throat chakra issues or have had more throat chakra issues than anyone else I've ever met. And who am I? You know, that whole imposter syndrome came up. Who am I to write a book on the
Mm-hmm.
throat chakra? Well, at the end of the day, who am I not? Because
Mm,
I had worked so hard on the throat chakra, and all my clients I realized had throat chakra issues.
Yeah.
And the throat chakra, at one point in time, I realized the throat chakra is not a chakra to me you can heal directly. You can work on that. I have had many clients come to me who have had people work on their throat chakra, they've had all these healings, and it doesn't hold
Mm.
because the throat chakra is the bottleneck. And it's that
Mm.
energy, when we have stuck energy in the lower chakras, especially the root chakra, when we don't feel safe and stable in the world, or just our foundation, how are we going to express our deepest truths
Yeah.
when we're not feeling safe and stable? And so it's doing the work in the lower chakras that will actually free up the throat chakra. Now, that being
Yeah.
said, I have discovered people who have really worked at speaking their truth, public speakers, people who have really practiced, and they have been able to bypass the wounding, that deeper wounding in the throat chakra. So I can see where their
Mm.
energy may come over top of the wounding and be expressed outward, but it's not from deep within.
Yeah.
And it was actually through my work with the throat chakra that I discovered that really the highest level in the throat chakra is the expression of our soul's purpose, why we are here. That is the highest level, and that comes from the root chakra. What is the soul responsible for? So it's discovering that, feeling safe and stable in pursuing a life around that, and then all the other chakras come into play.
Mm. I love that. And you're absolutely right. It's the safety of um, being able to speak your mind is paramount. If you don't feel safe, if you don't, if you think that you're going to be mocked or, put down or ignored, and you don't feel safe to say your truth, then you're not going to say it. Yeah. And it's interesting again, because when you talk about the chakras in terms of pairing, like we did with the solar plexus and the third eye, I always pair the sacral with the throat because emotions held there, da, 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 and it's like, that sense of feeling enough and worth. Am I worthy of speaking my truth and so on? But yeah, I mean, these clear pairings come as really useful sometimes, but you can't separate any of the chakras. They all are so interdependent on each other. And so I'm really interested to know when you see somebody, you meet somebody, you're working with somebody, and you find that they have a throat chakra issue. Um, and it's usually some kind of diminished energy there on the whole. Um, what are the modalities that you use in order to help somebody to begin to heal? Because in your book, you're obviously going to give solutions, not just like, well, this is why it's. So what are your modalities? I know what mine are, but I'd love to know what yours are.
Well, the number one thing that I use when I'm working with people, and I like to start one-on-one. I did the one-on-one thing
Yeah.
for years and years, decades actually, and then I went into group. That was what was suggested when I wrote my book. You have to, and so I did that, but I prefer to do a hybrid, or most of my clients now, I really prefer to start one-on-one and go deep.
Mm.
Like
It's such a
people,
personal thing. Yes.
yeah, it's so personal. And um, so many women say to me, Cheryl, no one goes deeper than you. I've been doing, all this work, therapy and energy healing and everything for decades. And so it's really about going deep. And so people can absolutely do this. You can do this on your own. And so you can work with this, work with the energy in your chakras through meditation.
Hmm.
And in meditation, I highly recommend using the full breath, using breathing with the lower abdomen, because that helps you access your subconscious.
Hmm.
And I discovered that soon after I started meditating, only because I grew up in Alberta, Canada, and I learned to take long, full, deep breaths when it was minus 30 in the winter. And I was, a little girl afraid of freezing to death. And so breathing fully calms the nervous system and it would stop me from shivering in the cold. That was the whole purpose. And what I noticed when I started meditating, I started breathing with long, full breaths, even though my instructor said, no, breathe normally. And I eventually thought, this is what works for me. So I started accessing my subconscious. And so we can, I'll be giving away my ACE method today, which is all about access your subconscious blocks. And it's through the full breath, you can become your own energy worker. And then you can learn to clear it, which is really breathing through your subconscious blocks, breathing through those repressed emotions that you weren't able to feel when you were younger. It all goes back to our early childhood. As early as in the womb, I do a lot of healings in the womb. And then how do you step into the empowerment? And that's using neuroplasticity to reprogram the subconscious so that you can turn around and you're different. And so it's learning how to access that and just being open to it, and science has proven that trauma is encoded in the right side of the brain, and it's imprinted through physical sensations and emotions. And the problem with so many of us, we're trying to heal these things through the left brain. We might even have fear that, oh, I'm going to have to relive this. I'll remember the whole thing. You'll never
No.
remember the whole thing linear. It's always fragmented memories, but
Yeah.
it's through those physical sensations and the emotions that true healing can happen as if it never existed,
Yeah.
whatever it was.
Yeah. No, I love that because you're affirming so much of the stuff that I believe as well. I always say to people, we try to heal ourselves by thinking our way out of it. We try and, you know, therapy, talking, reliving it, just sort of working it out, unpicking it, looking at every little stitch. And, in some cases that can be useful and it can be a first step. But in terms of actually clearing energy, in terms of actually shifting and, as you say, finding the neuroplasticity, we can rely on our bodies to do the work for us, which is where I come at it from a yogic point of view, because I feel like in the throat chakra, I'm all about actually, let's use the body, somatically to shift the energy, so for my modalities for the throat chakra healing are always humming. Pranayamas, yes, humming and singing and chanting, and throat opening poses, throat closing poses, just kind of like, let's just shift this energy physically in the body, let's just get a sort of kind of like I'm sorry, because I'm in the middle of a building site, I'm thinking of a digger. Like, let's get the digger in there and just move some stuff around, Um, but I love that because the breath is what you've talked about, and the breath is always the thing to come back to. And it's always there for you, wherever you are in your life, wherever you are in your day, you can always stop for 1 minute and just center yourself with breath work and bring yourself back to. And if you've done that work at home in terms of like this big breathing, it doesn't take long to take yourself back into that space of like, oh yeah, I remember this. It's kind of like a shortcut into your healing, I don't know, your healing sort of space within you. There's a beautiful song that's come to me. I'm always, messages and downloads always come through songs for me. It's a weird thing. There's a beautiful song called The Healing Room by Sinead O'Connor, beautiful late Sinead O'Connor. And it starts by saying, there is a healing room inside of me. And it is, honestly, if you go and listen to it, I'll try and remember to put it in the show notes as well, because it's the most beautiful song about meditation, about finding that power, that healing within you. It absolutely moves me every time I listen to it. I have to lie in the bath and just listen to that and just remind myself. But yeah, we have that space within us, and the breath will always take us there. Yeah.
Definitely. And that's where yoga, being a very somatic practice, right, can make such a difference. And so I appreciate that you're, talking about all the different poses and throat opening and throat
Mm,
closing and that sort of thing. And like you said earlier, the throat chakra is paired with the sacral chakra, which is our passion, our sexuality, and creativity, one-on-one
mm.
relationships, all those emotions. And so to me, everything starts with the root chakra. We must feel safe,
Oh,
stable,
absolutely.
and
Yeah.
and safety and stability moves into trust and faith. And so yoga is so much about grounding and being solid in who we are. And
Mm,
there, um, the practices then that help us uh, unlock the divine creativity that wants to be expressed through us
mm.
comes through the sacral. So it's all about us finding our own methods, but we still have to experiment. When I
Yes.
remember when I did my yoga teacher training years ago in India and up in the Himalayas. It was just
Wow.
fantastic. And I remember how healing that was primarily for my sacral, which really, of course, helped the throat, helped in my
Mm.
creative expression, and just a deeper knowing of who I really am um, as an energetic being. And I remember doing the most healing happened in my sacral chakra when I was up there in the Himalayas.
Yeah. How beautiful. Yeah, no, the wounds that we have within our sacral chakra are so often kind of implanted, I feel, in the teenage years, when we're discovering our sexuality and we're experimenting and making all sorts of heinous mistakes. And God bless those who go, no, no mistakes. I'm like, okay, what's on you? There's very few of us who escaped unscathed from those years. And so, yeah, it's because it's creative and because it's about your passions, about what really lights you up, what really turns you on in all ways in life, that sacral chakra. If we aren't connected to that, then we're kind of a bit flailing because if we don't follow our passions, then how are we going to be authentic and this is something that I find that I feel like a lot of people battle with, and it's very tied up with our purpose and finding our life's purpose. And that's what people are hunting for, searching for. They've got themselves into a position in life, and it may be uh, fine and steady and stable, but not fulfilling. Or it can be lacking in ways and not safe and not stable, but either way, there's a kind of a yearning for something more. And this is certainly where I find a lot of my clients come going, there's something just missing, and I don't know what that piece of the puzzle is. And I need to find it. And maybe this is going to help me. And to be honest, usually it does help them find themselves. But without that understanding of what really gets you going, what really is your passion, you're not going to be able to feel into what your purpose is in life because I feel they're really intertwined. Do you agree?
Yes, we must have that energetic flow. We must
Yeah,
have that energetic, authentic
yeah,
energetic flow. What does bring us passion? What is our greatest joy? And we may have had it to a certain extent, but we have to remember so much of our choices, so many of our choices are influenced by our conditioning. And what often happens, so my clients, mature women who have accomplished a certain amount,
yeah,
they've really gotten to a certain level in their lives where they've become an expert in something, and then the fulfillment isn't the same. It's like what used to fulfill them is not, and they're sort of lost, and they know they've got some blocks, and it's that deep inner knowing that they
yeah,
know they're meant for more. They know
yeah,
they're meant for more. And so it's my job to help them gain the clarity. It's never me imposing or implying or anything. It's
no,
helping
no,
them discover. and a
Exactly.
deeper level, who they truly are, why they're here, and what their next steps are. And it's a real unfolding. It's a real unfolding. And in my higher level group programs, it's kind of funny because we don't set goals.
Mm.
I always say, how can you set the goal when your wounding is
Yeah.
is influencing what your goal is going to be? So it's, let's help you become a clear being,
Mm.
especially in those lower chakras. So then your goals start to unfold because they will never be what you could have imagined when you are the person you are. You need to become that other person first, and then the goals are super clear.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, hence why I always describe the chakras as like a map. It's like, I don't know where your destination is. I'm not a clue. I'm just here to share the map and teach you how to read the map. And then off you go, because I'm opening the door to this big adventure. Who knows where it's going to lead you? Yeah, no, it's a really personal journey that people go on. And it is so fulfilling to just begin to really work on the self. And I totally identify with what you're talking about, is that sort of, you get to that age and stage. And for me, I'm 55 and I'm just like, yeah, this menopause situation, that has just thrown out so much, you know, it kind of really focuses your mind into going, yeah, but let me just get my house in order here of what is actually really important and what really matters. And I think that if you can start doing that before you get to that, before you get to that stage, a lot of my listeners are, sort of like 28 to 40, that sort of age. Like if you're thinking about this stuff now, oh my God, well done. I'm so jealous. I didn't start working on this sort of stuff. I've been teaching yoga since I was, 30, but I don't think I really tapped into the spiritual energetic side of it until I was probably 40, mid 40s. Um, so yeah, the sooner you can begin to see this bigger picture, the better. Absolutely. So oh God, I feel like we can talk for hours about this, but I want to just go back to the thing about, you were saying everything starts at the root chakra. And what came up for me when you said that is, yeah, you have to trust yourself. Like if you got that root chakra and you're grounded, you trust yourself, and then you can trust the wisdom that drops in from the higher self. You can trust the messages that come from your body, from your chakras. And that is when the really good stuff begins, when you trust yourself and you
We
trust the
are so on the
messages.
same page
Yeah.
because I experienced the root chakra sort of in three layers of development. The
Mm-hmm.
first one is safety and stability.
Mm-hmm.
It's really feeling safe and stable in the world, and to be who you really are. And that moves us into trust and faith. Like you
Mm.
said, trusting life, trusting the universe, trusting source, which ultimately is trusting the divine self,
Yeah.
trusting, which gives us faith. And then the highest level is responsibility and accomplishment. So, what did your soul come
Mm.
here to be responsible for? And it's the accomplishment of that. And then all that energy can come up to the sacral as passion and creative expression. And so it's, like we talked about, all the chakras work together, and then that energy can ride up. So the highest layer is that responsibility and accomplishment after trust and faith.
Yeah, I love that. It's there's so much that we could talk about, but I wanted to just really touch on something you said right at the beginning, which I loved, because I feel like we're when we're teaching the chakras, when we're educating or guiding people through understanding the chakras, um, you are beginning to learn to be your own energy healer. And you said something about being your own energy healer. Um, talk to me about that, because I know that one on your website I read somewhere you've got like 3 steps to become your own energy worker. And I think we all need that, because let's face it, like I always say to people, if someone says, come lie down on my couch, I can heal you, I say run, because no one can heal you but yourself. So, and I feel like this education, this knowing, this understanding, the body work, the breath work, etc., will lead you there. What's your recipe to becoming your own energy worker?
Well, it really is number one, believing that you can.
Yes.
Believing that you can change, believing that you can do this is a huge step in the right
Mm,
direction. And
yeah, yeah,
like we talked about trust, develop that trust, trust
yes.
with yourself. And so my method in using the full breath changes the brain function. So right now, as we're sitting here, Roseanne, we're using the back part of the brainstem, the medulla oblongata specifically to breathe.
Mm,
We're not even thinking about it. We're not conscious of breathing. As soon as we engage the abdominal muscles, that changes the brain function to the lobal brain, the frontal lobal brain, and it frees up the brainstem, which is where we gain access to the subconscious. So by breathing fully and focusing on a particular chakra. And I always recommend to start with the root chakra. So you just bring your eyes down there, have your focus there, because we have the power to change. And it's through focusing on the chakras and doing the full breath we will find what emotions are still held and locked in our subconscious. And it we don't have to remember the past, we don't have to remember all our traumas as
mm,
linear experiences. We do need to feel the emotions to a certain extent, and it's sort of like a clogged plumbing pipe. you
mm,
know when the plumbing is working well, all the water is flowing through, and the water is the emotions, right? We are
yeah.
designed to feel our emotions are
Mm,
energy in motion. And so when we go into the subconscious, it's like unclogging what's been getting in the way. And so it's kind of like having to take a plumber's snake in and poke at the clog. So we need to poke at the emotion. We need to open ourselves up, open that door to feel those emotions, but we don't have to bury ourselves in them. And we don't
mm,
have to um, re traumatize ourselves by
yeah.
experiencing them super intensely. So it's feeling that and noticing the physical sensations is very important. How did the body hold that trauma?
Yeah.
And
It's
so
kind of like
often,
observing it, isn't it? It's just like you want to kind of almost get a bird's eye perspective and just observe the emotion, observe where it is in the body. Like you see it, you feel it, but you're not in it. You're not diving
right?
into that. You're
Well,
looking.
yes, it's a bird's eye perspective, but it's also feeling the emotion to a
Mm.
certain
Oh
extent.
yeah. Yeah.
It's but not getting stuck in it and reliving
Mm.
it and
Oh
adding
yes.
to the clog. So we just need to kind of poke at it to get the energy going through. And then to me, it's about following the emotional thread. If there's an energy, an emotion present, such as fear or anger, those are always superficial. They're sort of the tip of the iceberg. So you want to
Mm.
follow down to the deepest emotion that exists. And then what will come with it eventually is some sort of subconscious belief. So as little toddlers, we form beliefs in our minds based on whatever happened to us, with us, for us, and it's clearing that and then being able to reparent ourselves, bring that new energy in, love ourselves up, and decide what's true for us now. What are now the even deeper beliefs of our greatness and of the being that we are, that we're here to express in the world. And so it's going back to, in all three of my books, I talk about my ACE method: access. Get into your subconscious, access it, and clear it through the breath. That's why you can do it yourself. When I'm helping people, I developed
Mm.
my own Azarius energy healing program. I've studied multiple modalities. Years ago, I also worked with the meridians, which are energetic
Ah,
pathways, just like
yes.
the chakras, right?
Yeah.
It's all energy, uh, but it's helping people go deeper. We all need an assistant.
Oh
You know,
yes.
it's we can do it ourselves, and to be open to someone else helping us. And the
Yeah.
universe is always supporting all of us, every
Mm.
single one of us, and we're being supported through other people. So it's
Yeah.
just like the work you do, I do, are in support of you discovering the truth of your being, all
Yeah.
that you're meant to become.
Yeah. Oh, it's so lovely to hear you say that because I'm so it's so true and it's so aligned. And yeah, I always say, we all need somebody's hand to hold every so often. We're here to bring other people along and show them the way and then let them loose and do their own thing. And I've had clients who go off and have done incredible different modalities that I've never even heard of. And they just, yeah, I found the thing that worked for me and off I go. It's I absolutely adore it. But speaking of your other books, I can see them behind you. Just mention to me what they're about because I've mentioned the throat chakra book, which I think sounds amazing. But you've got what is it? Blocked and Be Wonderful. I can't see because yours is like in the way. Other way. That's one.
Yep. So my second book is Client Magnet, the Coach's Guide to Attracting Ideal Clients Through Spiritual Awareness. And that book came to be, I thought I was it was one and done. I wrote one book and never planned on writing another book, but I started working with coaches and they would say to me, where do you get your clients? I'd be like, I don't know, they drop out of the sky. Like people
Mm,
just keep finding me. And I started working with coaches who were doing everything right. They, and healers, people that have or people who had a practice, functional medicine doctors, uh, but they just weren't attracting their ideal clients and helping them because I could see the chakras. I was able to help them clear the blocks that were getting in the way in a very short period of time. Their groups are formed, they've got their clients, it's all
mhm.
happening. And so I was guided to write that book. It's like, okay,
Yeah,
get that
I love
energy
that.
out there. And how do you energetically attract your ideal
Yeah.
clients? So whether you're an entrepreneur, a coach, whatever sort form of business you have, that book can be useful. And then I was guided last summer to write a third book. And it's from block to powerful, and it really is about authentic power, and
Mm,
clearing those blocks to unlocking inner clarity and authentic power. And it's for mature women who know they're meant for more. And it really is a compilation of many modalities and helping women get to the highest level possible of
mm.
authentic power.
Wonderful. Yeah, those look absolutely, yeah, they look fantastic. And it's fascinating what you say about the client magnet book, because I know that um when I'm in a certain vibration, I know I can recognize when I'm in my flow, that's when my clients arrive. And then I get blocked or busy or get something or there's something, and then they don't come. And then I kind of work my way back in. So I don't know what it is specifically that I'm doing that attracts them. That's the thing I haven't worked out. I can tell the feeling, but how do I get back to, that's it's a fascinating thing. But yeah, in like all things in life, like manifesting, you just have to vibrate on the right level and the people will find you and the right people will find you. And I adore every single one of my clients. They're all so aligned, they're all so wonderful, and they've all taught me so much as well. And that's the magical thing about this work. It is amazing. So Cheryl, tell people how they can find you, how they can get in touch with you.
People can find me on my website, starofdivinelight.com. It's all one word, Star of Divine Light. And you can also find me on social media, Cheryl Stelte. If you want to talk with me, you can just enter callwithcheryl.com, and Cheryl is Cheryl. But I'm not too hard to find.
No.
And it's also nice, to meet me through a chakra reading. It's the one thing that I think helps people, whether we work together or not, just to get all that insight. And I let
Yeah,
them know what their next steps can be into
yeah.
their own healing and empowerment.
Yeah, no, I find that like you, the chakra readings are such a deep insight for people. and they're a great introduction to my work, you know, and yeah, it tells people so much about themselves. It gives you a lot to go on. You know, people go away and go, oh, this is going to take me a few weeks to get through, you know, and really kind of understand everything that's come through. It's been an absolute joy, Cheryl. Can we please stay in touch? Maybe I'll have you on again. We'll think about doing a special on a specific subject. If anybody's got an idea, something they would like us to talk about, then let me know. But it's been an absolute joy to meet you. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. This has just been such a pleasure. I've had so much fun, and yeah, I think we could talk all day, Roseanne. So it's been such an honor.
Thank you, Cheryl.